know honesty is the best policy, but unfortunately, we're living in the real world, which means not everyone is going to be as upfront as we'd like them to be. So to help us spot some of the telltale signs of what to be on the lookout for, to figure out who's lying, we brought in our deception detection expert, Susan Constantine. So good to see you again.
Thank you.
Okay, so we want to figure out how we can spot a liar.
Okay, so rule number one, the person has to have something at stake. So they have to have something at risk or a reward from it. So that creates what we call cognitive load. So when somebody tries to deviate from the truth and they want to tell you a story that is different from what they know, there are indicators that happen in clusters. So there always has to be something at stake. Everyday lies would be very hard to detect deception. Even you or I would not be able to pick it up. So clusters happen in 2 or 3 or more.
Okay.
So for example, if I ask you a question that is off from what you
all these people here waiting to pick up
you would suspect, it would create cognitive load, and when you're trying to tell the story different from what you know, it will create these physiological responses. Might be scratching the nose, rubbing the eye, their head may go down, they may have a shoulder shrug, gulps, sweat, their face may flush. There's a multitude of things that happen, but they happen in 7 seconds or less.
Wow, that fast?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. So what you're telling me is, say I'm speaking with someone and they put their hand over their face. I can't say you're lying right off the bat because that was only one indicator, right?
You're exactly correct. Okay. So when you deliver a stimulus question, one that they're trying to deviate from, then you'll start to see the clusters happen. Here we see somebody rubbing their nose, and what we find is, and in rubbing their nose, is that when somebody deviates from truth, creates anxiety, and it starts to irritate the capillaries, and that's the reason why they scratch their nose.
Wow.
Putting their hands over their face, any type of facial blocking, or what we call manipulators, self-soothing gestures, any of these type of indicators are also associated with deception. When we see their head down or they close, it's low confidence. So when somebody's lying to you, why should they show low confidence? They should show high confidence because they should be telling you the truth. So there are all different types of indicators, whether it's shoulder shrugging, could be a smirk, could be a gulp, a yawn, a funny giggle, any of those things. They will happen within 7 seconds after being asked a question they try to deviate from the truth with, and you'll see them happen in clusters.
Wow. And can we count on this technique just about every time someone is not being truthful?
Yes, I think the most important thing for people to understand is that you have to really have a good foundation of how to determine a person's baseline behavior. So for example, you know your husband and your wife, how they normally act, or your children, right? And all of a sudden their behavior is a little off, or they turn their back to you and they walk away, or they tend to be a little bit more quiet, or they tend to stumble over their words, and it's something different from what they normally respond to. Those are what we call hot spots. So I teach how can you determine a person's baseline to find out when they deviate from that, and when they deviate, you'll start to see these clusters.
Susan, this is so fascinating. I'm sure we could talk hours on this, but I want you to remember, we're going to be looking out for this. So we are going to be able to use these tools out in the real world and be able to detect those liars out there. Susan Constantine, thank you again so much for joining us.
Thank you.